and this is a staggering statistic if it's anywhere near true, and on a number of different levels. One is 5% of people think, 15% of people think they think, and 80% would rather die than think. Thanks for jumping on, everybody. As I mentioned, as we go further along, I definitely want to start right at 9:45, jump right off at 10, hopefully get a good start to the day. I was reflecting back on last Monday's Mindful Monday, just being aware of kind of where our heads at any time during the day. You know, the idea that a thought becomes an emotion, becomes an action, is something that we really need to be aware of, especially as time gets tough, right? Because it's easy to stay in good spirits and be motivated and have good confidence and, you know, all the things that we should have naturally, let alone interacting with our clients. But now we're in this, you know, whatever term you want to use, normalizing market, correcting market, you know, adjusting market, whatever. It is going to be super important for us to be on the top of our game, in good spirits, and motivated. So that just becomes super important, not only for, you know, us understanding where our mind's at, where our headspace is at, but getting past that, especially if it's negative in our own mind, and then understanding where our client's head's at, right? If, you know, if they weren't worried before because they were moving too fast, they're going to be worried now because they're even moving at all, right? For the buyer, it's going to be like, does this make sense now? You know, is all this doom and gloom, real estate bubble bursting stuff, you know, should I be aware of that? Should I not? Interest rates too high. I mean, we need to be present for our client, and we can't do that if we're not even, you know, present in our own head. So, you know, I think out of anything we're talking about, I think they're all important, but this mindful state is really kind of the most, one of the most important. There's a couple of things that I've been kind of reflecting back on this weekend and preparing. One is, and I don't know who all knows Yogi Berra, but Hall of Fame catcher. And one of his quotes is, baseball is 90% mental, the other half is physical. Nobody said he was a mathematician, but you know, here's a physical game, and most people can acknowledge that it is very much a mental game as well. Our career that we're in real estate is very little physical, almost all mental. So, you know, I would argue it's even more important that we focus on the mental, and we play at that level, that professional elite level. And I think the beginning of that is really understanding how we think and what we do with those thoughts. So the other thing that I was reflecting back on, and Charlie, thank you for introducing us to John and Pam Strain's book, but it's just been resonating in my head for the last few months that I found super interesting. And that is, and this is a staggering statistic if it's anywhere near true, and on a number of different levels. One is 5% of people think, 15% of people think they think, and 80% would rather die than think. So if you think about any one of those numbers, they're kind of jaw-dropping, and you can make a whole topic around each one. For example, the 80% would rather die than think. So is your buyer one of those? Like, are they just sheep and they're running in the direction that they're told to run in? Maybe. You know, if they look at you as the trusted advisor and their counselor, then, you know, they probably just want to be told what to do, and in part kind of how to think, especially if they can trust you and they know that you are the one giving them good counsel. The other is 15% think they think. Now, this is the one I was kind of going to focus on the majority of today, because last week I brought up, kind of where do we put ourselves on a scale of 0 to 10 about whether we think about our thoughts and manage our thoughts or not. And everybody kind of contributed their thoughts on where they were. And I don't want to play that down. I don't want to be a broken record, but I do want to challenge everybody on that, because I've found myself challenging in my head all the time. And that's one of the most important things I can do is, do I really analyze it or not? Dr. Hall calls it sticking the ladle in your mind stream. If you were to stick a spoon in there, a ladle in there, and pull out at any one time, a spoonful of your thoughts, what would that look like? That's a visual I can, get my head around. It isn't very attractive most times, but I think that's a beautiful thing to do. Like, look at that stream of thought, kind of take a glance at it. Is it messy, negative, discouraging? What is it? Or, hey, man, that's positive, that's uplifting, that's encouraging. What does my current stream of thought look like, and analyze that, over the course of the day. And then, the other one is 5% of people think. If that's anywhere near true, like that's pretty scary, right? Way more people, that number should be, have another digit on there, 50 at a minimum. But I'm inclined to agree. We're being told all the time through news and media and influencers and all that what to think. And if we're being told what to think and we're just regurgitating that to our clients, we're not serving them well, right? We'll hear things on a macro level, what's happening across the US and what's happening, across the world, and we'll spit that out. Oh, it's doom and gloom, blah, blah, blah. Where, really you have to get down to a micro level and be really fixed. When I talk to my sellers, I'm like, look, yeah, you're hearing macro news all the time, and they're talking about price adjustments and buyer's remorse and all this negativity. But, here's the statistics in your area, in our IMLS. Here's what's moving. Here's how it's moving. Think, put thought into where your data is coming from and how to present that to your clients. So anyway, I've talked way more than I was planning on, but I just kind of wanted to throw out some concepts. Charlie, since you've spent a lot of time in that 5, 15, 80, is there any additional things you'd like to comment on? You gotta unmute, bud. Oh, you're still muted. Charlie. Can't hear you. Let's see. I've hit the ask to unmute button, but I don't know.
I think he has it on his own. He should be able to unmute it by his own thing.
Yeah, I know. That's what I hit the little ask to unmute, but we can't hear you, Charlie. You're gonna have to unmute. Oh, okay. Mark, I don't know. I apologize. I didn't see when you came in, but you've heard this concept before, right? The 5, 15, 80.
Yeah.
What's your thoughts
think
on
so.
that? What did Rima?
Sorry.
Yeah. What's your kind of thoughts? Have you've heard that saying before? 5, 15, 80.
We talked about that last Monday, right?
Oh, did it come up in that one?
Or maybe not.
Okay. Well, anyway, what's kind of what comes to your mind when you hear that?
Drawing a blank here.
Oh, that's okay.
All right, I'm back. I'm back in.
Okay, we'll let Charlie chime in, and then Mark, if you have any additional thoughts, you can contribute.
Yeah,
Okay, thanks.
I'm one of those people that I challenge myself with. The 5% piece that they're talking about is what we critical thinking. called being aware and questioning what you're being told. And, my challenge is honestly, I'm that next group, right? I'm that 15% that think I think. And it's one where it's a challenge. It's an exercise every day to take in what I'm hearing and then think it through and then parse it out. And it's an exercise. I think we're all challenged with that. I think that 5% is probably more accurate than we'd like to think. And so for me, it's just that daily constant awareness of what is it I'm hearing? How does it fit against what I understand? And then being willing to work it through rather than just taking it and moving on. And with the amount of, I think the challenge I have is with the amount of social media that we're required to use in this business, as well as all the stuff that we just entertain ourselves with, that you got to shut some of that off to be able to parse out and be able to be a critical thinker.
Yeah.
So that's the challenge I have is how do I spend the time to do the critical thinking?
Yeah, and critical thinking takes a lot of energy, right? I mean, it's, you got to find a lot of sources. You got to kind of put them together. What are the sources? Why are they telling me potentially what they're telling me? Do they have, an interest in the outcome of what they're sharing with you? I mean, you got to put a lot of energy into it. And I think human nature would just like to go the path of least resistance the most often. It's kind of like, I'll just go about my day. And, every once in a while, I will put some deep thought into what I'm doing. So that's a really good point. And then if I take everything in that statistic and I put it around, if we're the 15% of people that think we think, here's a mind twister. Do we think about what we think? Why are you thinking that? Where'd that come from? Is that healthy? Is it moving you in the right direction, or is it holding you back? Is it moving you forward? Which is even more difficult, right? Because then you've got to dig into where that came from. If you go back, it's probably something that happened in life that, was a bummer, kind of hurt, left a mark. We struggle thinking about positivities. Sorry, guys. Moving forward, it's the fear of what's going to happen in the future. Look, our market's shifting, it's changing. What was me? What do I do? How do I stay engaged? How do I serve my clients well? How do I produce? All those kind of what if scenarios. But so I'm just saying it's hard, but it's like fundamental. It's one of the most important things we can do is analyze where our thoughts are, and then how to step back from those and then begin to analyze our clients' thoughts, because those are the most important. When we're in the field working with our clients, buyers and sellers, we got to hear what they're saying. We got to take in what they're saying. We've got to provide data to respond to what they're saying. And then we got to, as we talked about Wisdom Wednesday, we got to provide wisdom to help them move forward with what they're saying. And if we're all caught up in our headspace, that's not being helpful. Anything else come to mind, Mark, or do you want me to ask the other Mark?
No, the only other thing, I mean, I would add on to that a little bit. I mean, the 80 is the easy part.
Hold on, just a second. Lima, did you think of anything?
Okay.
Sorry.
Not really.
You want to just ask Chaveria?
Oh yeah, the only thing I was going to say is that the 80 is the easy part, because the 80 is basically you're just kind of a sheep just following. There's no critical thinking. There's nothing. It's just a matter of you just follow what everything is going on. The 15 makes it a little bit harder. And like you say, Jared, when you start critically thinking about what you're thinking, I mean, in all reality, I think that's where growth is. Once you start thinking about what you're thinking and that kind of stuff, I think then that's where you start growing. Because then you're taking a look at what you're doing and what you're not doing and what you're thinking and what you're not thinking. And I just think that it helps you to be able to grow and to be able to change and to be able to mold into what's going to be the best for yourself as well as the clients that you're working for.
Yeah.
That's the only thing that I can think of. And, you know, I'd like to think sometimes that I'm part of the 5%. But I'm sure it's not always, because I sit there and I analyze a lot of the things that I think, and because the biggest thing for me is that I want to stay as positive thinking as I possibly can. And so anything that, whenever a negative thought or something that comes into my brain, I try to notice that and try to move it aside.
Yeah.
So that I could become more on the positive thinking and that kind of stuff, whatever. So when it comes to that, I mean, but then again, that can be part of the, you know, critical thinking and that kind of stuff as well. So, I mean,
Yeah.
that's just my take.
Yeah. There's a couple things I heard out of that. One is awareness, right? You can't work on anything you're not aware of.
Correct.
So, and you're not aware of it unless you analyze it. So, you know, if anything negative or super positive pops in, you know, to take a quick assessment, where did that come from? Have the awareness, and maybe you can't do it at that instant, but later kind of revisit that. You know, in my experience, those exercises are super, super helpful.
For sure.
So we're down to 10. As I said, I want to honor time. But again, if there's any time where we need to realize the importance, you know, of being mindful, it's now, right? There will be a significant drop off of the number of agents in our markets going forward. And I think in large part, one, it's who they've partnered with, right? What brokerage are they at? What team are they on? You know, are they getting encouragement? Are they getting support or whatever? But also, how are they being helped with their headspace, with their mind, being committed to this business, this industry, and being successful? On my rides, my stationary bike rides, you know, my determination of how good that instructor is how hard they push me. You know, I'm riding, like I'm a half an hour into it, man, I think I'm just spent. Like I got nothing in my gas tank. And the ones that just say, you know, whatever encouraging words I need to hear, and I just power and I make it, you know, I feel, you know, that much better. So anyway, that's what I've got for Mindful Monday. Thank you guys for attending. I hope you have a blessed one.
Thanks, Jared.
Thank you.
Good.
Thank you.